podcast. Today I have brought in the big guns and I have got a super special guest expert for you today in a topic that I know a lot of you want to know more about, and that is influencer marketing. Now, it is definitely not something that I am an expert in, which is why I get in the experts for you so that they can impart all of their knowledge to you. So, if you are a product based business, you've tried influencer marketing before and it didn't work for you, or you're thinking about using influencer marketing to grow your business, then get stuck into today's episode because it is for you. You're listening to the Social Hub podcast, a place where we give small brands the skills and know-how to master all their social media, digital and content marketing. I'm your host, Stacey Cranich, mum, champagne drinker and self-confessed karaoke queen. Join me in a journey of real conversations and meaningful messages that will help you grow in your business and life, so you can have the most epic version of both. If you have a big vision and are ready to shine, then grab a cuppa or a cocktail and listen in.
Okay, welcome Emily to today's episode of the Social Hub podcast. I'm super excited to interview you.
Likewise.
We have been friends for a while, internet friends for a while. And, we met over our mutual love of helping people with their social media. But I soon found out very quickly that you are an expert in influencer marketing as well. And I just know in the last, 12 to 15 months in my business that influencer marketing is something that you can't really half-ass it. Like, you need to know what you're doing, and it's definitely not something I wanted to specialize in myself, and that's why connecting with people like you is great, because it is a huge part of marketing, particularly for product-based businesses, and for them to get seen and noticed is a really powerful tool for their marketing. So to start with, I just really love you to introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us who you are, a bit about yourself and business, and
Sure. Well, I have been in the digital marketing space since I left uni, probably about 12 years ago, I think. And since then, I've been in quite a few industries within the marketing space, real estate, property development, property management, tourism, and most recently hospitality. I, about 2.5 years ago, started working for a national hospitality franchise as their social media manager. I then fell pregnant, so went on maternity leave. And while I was on maternity leave, I had a few people that I'd worked with in the past contact me and ask if I would do some things for them. So do some marketing things, do some social media things. And I thought, oh my God, I'm on maternity leave, leave me alone. But sure enough, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so being a new mum isn't work enough, right? So I took on some social media work and I loved it. And my husband, actually a segment came on A Current Affair. Some girl was sitting on a beach behind a laptop making millions of dollars, and my husband said, you could do that. I was like, oh, how ridiculous. No, I enjoy my job. I'm happy. Just no, I leave it at that. Anyway, it got me thinking, and I was like, oh, maybe I could sit on the beach with my laptop and make millions of dollars.
It's like the dream, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I remember my boss, where I was at, said to me, when you come back from maternity leave, you can still work with us, obviously, but you can, if you want to work from home, you can do that. You can do your job pretty much anywhere in the world. And I said, oh, you're so right. I could do this job from anywhere in the world. So I only went back part-time, and by part-time I mean 8 hours a week. Didn't want to leave my baby for too long. And I was there for a couple of months and I thought, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be at home. I want to be a mum, firstly. And secondly, I need to keep my mind active, and I'm a workaholic, like I said. So why don't I just do it for myself? So that's where my other little baby, OMG Marketing, came from. Yeah, so that's a bit about me.
And I think that's such a common journey for new mums. And I think, we're so lucky we live in the age of the entrepreneur, and
Totally.
we do have the ability to take our expertise and do it for ourselves. And, doesn't even have to be an online business, can just be a business we do for ourselves and then be there more for our kids. I didn't get to do that when mine were babies, but I'm loving being able to work from home and do it for them now as they get older. And let me tell you, as they become tweens and into teenage years, it's still just as important that you are around.
Yeah. And
for sure.
Each little age or development is so exciting and brings with it its new challenges, and it's exciting. I think being a mum was really exciting. I love it. Yeah, it has its challenges, but I love it. So that was my main reason for starting up OMG, was to be around for little Molly and be a mummy. But I never ever, like 5 years ago, had you have said to me, Em, when you have a baby, you're probably going to quit your awesome full-time job that you love so much and be a stay-at-home mum and a little entrepreneur, I'd laugh at you and say, no, I'm not. I'm going to climb the corporate ladder and I'm going to get to as high as I can. I'm going to be so successful doing that. No way would I. And I'm going to go back to work, 3 months after I have my baby. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So things change and it's where I am today and I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. And I love that you told our audience something real about yourself and about your life and motherhood, because this podcast is more than just marketing. It's definitely about, sharing your journey, because people get inspired by your journey. So that's cool. So if we're going to get stuck into influencer marketing, because that's the topic of today's episode, can you share with everyone why you're so passionate about influencer marketing and the benefits that it can have for a business?
Sure. So many reasons. I love influencer marketing. First and foremost, increase revenue. So 89% of brands say that their ROI from influencer marketing is comparable or even better than other marketing channels. 89%. That is massive.
That's a huge statistic.
Marketing, it is. It's really quantifiable. You can really measure how successful your influencer marketing is. So that's one thing that I love about it. The content that you get from influencers, it's creative. It resonates with your target audience. It's different to what you think of and what your photographer can think of. And it's real. So I love the content aspect of it. It can also drive a direct response. So things like clicks, sales conversions, traffic to your website, newsletter signups. It's really good at driving a direct response in that aspect. And also brand awareness. So you're reaching a heap of new people, a whole different audience than what you normally would in your own marketing practices. So yeah, brand awareness is another one that I love. So they're the top probably 4 things that what I think are huge benefits for businesses when they take on influencer marketing.
Cool. And just to go back to something you said at the beginning after I asked that first question, and you said that influencer marketing's quite quantifiable. Can you expand on that a little bit? Like, what are the sorts of things that you can track and measure and that you can actually physically see? Because I know with people with marketing, and I know some of my clients are very much in this boat themselves, is that sometimes it's like the results are intangible until you see money dropping into your account after someone makes a purchase. So it would be good for people to see how, what are the sorts of things they can quantify and track with their influencer marketing.
Absolutely. For example, before I jumped on this call with you, I was looking in the back end of one of my clients' websites, and there was a pretty little order in there from one of our influencers. And how do I know that? It's all tracked with a code. So for example, if say I was going to get you to be an influencer for my business, I would give you a code. It would be Stacey 20. I'm going to offer $20 off or 20% off, whatever the code is. I'm going to give you that. So when you go and promote my brand or my business or my product, you're going to attach a code with it. So everyone likes a discount. So consumers will go and purchase and use this code, and it's there. It's really easy to note where the business is coming from. And that's a mistake that a lot of people make. they give out free product, and that's kind of where it ends. So
Yeah.
I'll touch on that down a bit
Yeah,
further.
cool.
But
Yeah.
things like unique unique links and discount codes are the top ways that you can quantify how effective your influencer marketing is.
Yeah, awesome. I just wanted to touch on that because I know like there's metrics for everything, and it's the same with me. Like I show people, this is where you can find your engagement metrics for your social media. This is how you can track your growth. This is how you can, review how your Facebook ad went. And until people know what they can track, it does feel like a lot of what their marketing is this unquantifiable process, but you can actually track it all, which is really important. And obviously you'll probably touch more on that later anyway. But secondly, I'd love you to explain for everyone the different types of influencers and what they do, because there's not just one size fits all when it comes to influencers. And people often ask me, who should I, or what sort of influencer should I be looking for?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to talk about two types. There's a brand ambassador and an influencer. So brand ambassadors, they're generally a longer term relationship, and they advocate your brand in most instances for free or in exchange for product. Whereas influencers, it's their gig. That's what they do for a living. They get paid to try and authentically or not promote your brand. So long term free in exchange for product, which is a brand ambassador, or shorter term paid influencers.
So what then are some of the mistakes that you see people making when they start out in influencer marketing? And I guess what I mean by that is, like anything, sometimes a lot of people will go and try and DIY something or DIY the process themselves without really knowing what they're getting themselves in for. And I see this happen with clients all the time. They've given out free stock or something, and they've got nothing in return for it. So what are some of the mistakes you see people making? Because I'm sure a lot of listeners will probably sit there and nod their head and go, yep, I've done that.
Yeah. So, well, you're right. A lot of people and a lot of smaller businesses have a beautiful product that they want to market. They approach a few people on Instagram and say, look, I'll send you some product if you promote my business. And that's the extent of the strategy. So there is no clear plan, strategy, or objective behind influencer marketing. There's no contract in place, and I'll talk about contracts a little bit further, but that is really your objective and your expectations and what you're willing to provide in exchange for the expectation. So no clear plan, strategy, or objective, no contract in place. And then once the campaign started, there's no measuring or monitoring. So it's really just, here, have some free product, and that's where it ends. So influencer marketing has a cycle. So it's from the beginning where you decide that you'd like to approach some influencers for some promotion, through to how successful that particular person was. Just like you do with any other campaign, you wouldn't just click start on a Facebook ad and leave it at that, would you? You'd go in and keep checking that your money's being spent in the right way, that your ad's being delivered to the right people, how effective it was, and there's no difference with influencer marketing. So there needs to be measuring and monitoring, which I rarely see, and picking the wrong influencers based on the amount of followers they have. If you could see what I'm doing right now, my fingers are up at my temples. It happens so much. You have 300,000 followers, so you must be amazing, and you're going to be what just takes my business worldwide. No, don't always look for followers, the follower count. But I'll talk more about followers and what to look for when you're DIYing influencer marketing. So they're the top things that I see people doing wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree. Like that's definitely where a lot of my clients are, is they've given out stock, which is money, for free, with no agreement, nothing in place. They haven't even set up any structure around how many posts that this person's going to do for this item, and essentially out it goes, and then nothing else comes of it, and it's just like, well, what's the point? And that's where I think some people then just go, well, it doesn't work, instead of realizing that, like anything in marketing, influencer marketing is exactly the same. You need to have a strategy behind it for it to work properly, and then a plan
100%.
to execute that strategy. It's the
Yep.
same with your social media content. It's the same with your Facebook ads. It's the same with your email marketing. Like, it all needs to have a good strategy behind it. So then on the flip side of that, can you give some examples of some really good influencer agreements that maybe you've helped your clients with, or
Sure.
like some basics that should be going into an influencer agreement, so that when people are approaching a potential influencer, they know what to be covering off in those conversations that they can put into an agreement with them?
Sure. One of my clients who I'm doing influencer marketing for is a luxe skincare brand, and I've done the complete creation of the influencer program through to now monitoring and measuring success. And always, as always, I'm looking for other suitable and potential ambassadors along the way. But we have tight contracts around exactly what it is that we require and exactly what it is that we're going to provide in return. We've seen some amazing results bringing on ambassadors and doing it properly. We've got clear expectations, clear guidelines, and everyone's happy. Obviously, they are if they sign the contract. And there's been influencers along the way that have been keen to jump on board, and then once they've received the contract, sort of back away, and that's okay. It's not meant to be, it's not right for you, and that's fine. But with this particular client, I'm talking thousands of dollars in revenue through influencer marketing, and hopefully new lifelong customers. But not only that, this brand is now seen to be aligning with thought leaders in their respective fields. So it's a clean and green skincare brand. So we're aligning with people like nutritionists, wellness advocates, people that have their own yoga studios, and rather than, so we're thinking outside the box rather than going for celebrities or reality TV stars, where there's strategy behind it, and we're not just going off follow account. So yeah, things to remember. It's not just about follow account. I'm going to keep banging on about that because I'm pretty strong on that. But anyway, the best thing about everything we're doing with the skincare brand is that none of them are paid. So they really are brand ambassadors. They literally love the brand, the philosophy behind the products, and the research that goes into all the formulation. So it just works. It works really well. And obviously their audience are the type of people that are going to be buying clean and green cosmeceuticals. So yeah, there's got to be a strategy behind it. And when you nail the strategy, everything else falls into place.
So that particular example, the influencers you used weren't necessarily paid influencers. Yeah, it was for free product.
Yep.
But still obviously having that agreement in place, even when it's an exchange of product for content or a recommendation, is still really important.
100%. And even down to, rather than just saying, I'll give you skincare every quarter, the value of skincare that you're going to provide is really important as well, just so there is that sort of monetary perception behind the contract as well. So I'm not just giving you free skincare for a year, I'm giving you $2,000 worth or $5,000 worth, whatever it is, worth of product in exchange for what you're going to do for me. So clear guidelines, clear expectations.
Yeah. And I guess that leads into the next question I was going to ask you, which was, how does an influencer agreement work? So I guess, what are some of the things you put in there? More things like, it was up to $2,000 worth of product or whatever you agree to. And why is it important to engage a professional? So the benefit of having someone help you with that.
Okay, so I'll answer your question in two parts. So how do the agreements work? Well, it all starts with your strategy. What do you want to get? What's your objective behind getting on an influencer? Is it brand awareness? If it is, you're going to go for different types of influencers than if your objective is increased revenue or sales. So things that you would put in agreement: the date, obviously, the length of the agreement. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 5 years? That's ridiculous. That was just an example, but typically 6 to 12 is somewhere that you'd want to be looking at. Also have a cooling off period or a get out of jail free period. Yeah. Just so if it's not working for you, if it's not working for them, there's an out. Also put in there the value of product or the value of money that you're going to offer in exchange for what you want. So you might want a story haul every time a parcel is delivered, and that might be what you're happy with. That might be all you want. You might want a post a week plus 3 stories a week, whatever you want. Make sure it's listed at, but be reasonable. If you're giving away product in exchange for wanting 5 posts a month and 3 minutes worth of stories, you won't get anyone signing up. So you need to be realistic in your expectations. And then the second part of your question, why is it important to engage a professional? Now, like anything, you can fly blind. You can spend a heap of time researching what to do, what not to do, how to do it, and hope for the best when you do it for yourself. Or you can engage someone who does it as their jam. Too many times I see small businesses trying to do everything. And we're human. We physically can't do everything and do it all properly. But not only that, it's important to get contracts right and in place, and then to also monitor it properly. This is your business. You're giving away product or money, whatever it is. So you want to make sure that it's working. So monitoring and measuring is also really critical in this whole process.
And I think too, it's important, if you're new at this, you're not really sure either what you should be giving away in return for X, Y, Z. So having that person there to support you in saying, no, if you're giving them $5,000 worth of product, then this is what you should be asking for in return. So it protects the business owner against potentially losing money, time and investment in somebody that's not going to give them the correct value back as well.
Yeah, exactly right. And I have worked with businesses in the past who are super generous, which is wonderful.
I think all women in business, I think we're the nurturers, and we're so conditioned to be the givers, and we're just give, and then you sit back and go, I got nothing from that.
Yeah, I'm the giving police, Stace. Yeah. Let me tell you, if I think that what you're giving away versus what you're expecting is out of balance, I'm going to tell you, obviously, in a good way. Like I've had a business in the past who's wanted to give the world in exchange for really not much. I'm like, no. While it may not cost you the recommended retail, obviously, it doesn't cost you that much. That's the value of the product. So you need to be demanding that in return from the influencers or the ambassadors. So yeah, a professional can tell you where you are on the scale of expectations and objectives versus reality, I suppose.
Yeah, that's awesome. I knew when I approached you about doing this interview that one of the key things I wanted to cover off was the importance of an agreement. And that's because of what I've seen my clients go through in particular with giving away product or paying people, but not getting any, the right value or any value back in return. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people listening, maybe they might never have engaged an influencer, and they're not even sure where to start, or maybe they've tried. They're one of those people that we've talked about that's tried and it didn't work out. So I'd love you to expand for the next part of the interview around what are your best tips for people to get started? What are some of the things they can look for in a potential ambassador or influencer, so that if they're sitting there going, yep, I want to start exploring this as an option for my business, where do they even start off?
First of all, for those people who have dabbled in influencer marketing and it hasn't worked, please don't be disheartened. If you can take anything out of this interview and rehash it and try again, please do. Yeah, don't be disheartened. It works really well if it's done properly. And like I said, 89% of businesses this year say that their ROI from influencer marketing is comparable or better than other marketing channels. So keep that in mind when you think that influencer marketing hasn't worked for you. My tips: pick your objective. Think of like-minded brands or influencers who share the same philosophy as your business, who share the same passions, same beliefs that align with your business. So like I said about the skincare brand, rather than going for salons or influencers who've got 300 million followers, we've gone for who are our ideal customers. They're healthy, they're health conscious, they like to do yoga, they like to do Pilates, they like to get active. They're in tune with their body. So how can we relate that back to an influencer? Well, we've gone with nutritionists, wellness advocates, yogis.
And that really breaks the mold, I think. And I think that's a really important message for people to take away, is that your influencer doesn't have to just be someone that all they do is take photos of themselves with a picture of your product. Like an influencer can be anybody from any industry, really, so long as they're aligned to your ideal client, that's going to be a beneficial partnering.
Yeah, spot on. Exactly. Yep. And like I said, it comes down to your objective. If your objective is brand awareness, then go for a celebrity or go for someone with 300,000 followers. If your objective is sales, which I'm pretty sure most of those listening will be sales, then pick your influencers wisely. Another tip here, don't be fooled by follow accounts. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Don't be fooled by follow accounts. Remember, followers can be bought. What you need to be looking for is their level of engagement. Is it sort of bot type engagement with phrases like love this, picture looks great, or even just some emojis, or is it genuine engagement from people who actually care and want to know more?
Yeah, or people tagging their friends,
exactly.
All that sort of stuff as well. And so when you're looking at those metrics, do you suggest that people get like a copy of their analytics or some sort of proof?
That's a tricky question. Not always will they give them to you.
Yeah.
And secondly, as a small business owner who hasn't dabbled in this before, could you understand what the metrics mean?
Yeah.
So twofold. Ask for it. If they'll give it to you, try and understand it. If not, you're going to have to go with what you can, and that's looking at their engagement.
And you can see that pretty clearly. Like if you go through their feed, you can see who's commenting, who's tagging.
Yeah.
And you're looking for real engagement, not like you said, those comments that are just an emoji, because that could be a bot. Even though Instagram's definitely cracked down on that now.
It has. Yeah.
There's still stuff like that there. And even like pod activity. So pod activity is where it's the same people commenting all the time. Are they in some sort of pod or something? Really be looking and dissecting their engagement.
Yeah, and this is what a professional can do. They can spot this stuff out a mile away without even spending too much time on it.
Yeah.
But also another thing to note is to take notice of the influencer's activity. So do they have genuine interest when they post about another brand that they're working for? So do they have people tagging saying, I thought of you when I saw this product, or this is what you should be getting dad for Father's Day, or, is there genuine, real engagement with other brands they're working for? So, and look at the types of photos they're taking for these other brands. Are they good at what they do? Are they good at taking the right photo with the right lighting and captions that they write? Also, you don't need to spend a fortune. Like I've said earlier, we can pay them in money or we can pay them in product. But if we're paying in money, we don't have to spend a fortune. So this year alone, the most common budget for influencers has been between $1,000 and $10,000 a year. So not a massive budget. I mean, for a small business, that might be a massive budget, but this type of stat is a combination of all size businesses. But I might say that the next bracket of budget is 100,000 to 500,000. So yeah, that's a bit of a difference, but you don't have to spend a fortune.
But that larger amount per year, that's what you're looking at paying celebrities and people like that as an influencer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It can be hard and super time consuming to find the right influencer. I get it. But if you have time, review their content, like I've said. Don't take any old influencer with every second post being a paid post. Be selective. This is your business. And the people you choose to advocate it reflects your brand, whether we like it or not. Is their sponsored content thoughtful and creative? Or is it just a quick shout out with product placement thrown in the pic with no relevance to you as their audience? So not only do we need to check their engagement, but we need to see what they're physically doing, what their post is, what their image is, and also what they're writing about. Who I think is a great influencer, you may laugh at this, but I think Davina Rankin of Married at First Sight, however many years ago, is a bloody awesome influencer.
I agree with you, actually. I have followed her and I agree with you. I think she does a great job.
She can relate anything back to whatever she's promoting. And so you're captivated, and then next minute, bang, you've got a hard sell, but in a really soft way. It's awesome. She does a really good job. I'm not going to name the next person I'm going to talk to you about. But this morning, I saw a post on another B grade celebrity who's in a relationship, and she is promoting a dating app. I don't get it.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. There's got to be strategy and thought behind it. Wouldn't you pick, if you're going to go down the B grade celebrity path, pick someone who's been single? Like, there's so many love, relationship, reality TV shows. So pick someone who's still single from the episode that they were aired in and get them to be on an influencer for your dating app. Why would you get someone who's already happily in a relationship? Anyway, I'm sure there's some strategy behind it, but
yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, for the listeners listening in, it's like looking at, that's probably a lesson in looking at the sorts of, you know, products that these people are putting their name behind, and does it make sense that they should be promoting these products? Because if it's not aligned with them or doesn't fit their demographic, you know, are they just someone that's going to take on any business regardless? And
absolutely.
Is that what you want for your business? Because you want your influencer to be like your biggest champion and to believe in you.
But you also have to think about the end user. So your consumer's looking at these posts, and while we have a fair idea as a consumer what's paid and what's really, really authentic, if we're looking at someone who's in a relationship and they're promoting a dating app, then we kind of get instantly turned off. Whether we're single and in the market to use this app or not, we're kind of annoyed at the brand for being so sort of flippant in who they choose, and also the influencer as well. They lose all credibility when they take on sort of anything.
Yeah.
And I've worked with influencers in the past who have said no, and I praise them for that. They're saying no because it doesn't align with their ethics or their brand. It's those types of people that you really actually want to work with, because they're going to be authentic. Really fine line between getting the right influencer and not. It's not just about what they're going to give you in return, but it's about what the customer then thinks of your brand.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, you know, it all comes into it. It is really important that everyone looks at the big picture. It's not just as simple as I've got a skincare brand or I sell smoothie mixes or something like that, and just finding someone to take a pretty picture on a beach to promote your product. There's all this other stuff behind it, and you really need to look behind it and look at their engagement, look at if they're promoting other products that are aligned with the audience that you want to attract, and being really thoughtful when you're doing your research. If you are going to DIY your influencer marketing, be very thoughtful about it and conscious about what you're looking for. Don't just look for someone with, like you said, with the big followers and give away your product with no result.
I have something else that I forgot to mention earlier. In your contracts, if you can, include industry exclusivity. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I was engaging a celebrity and I was a hairdresser, for example, I wouldn't want this influencer to be going to other salons and talking about it. You need to have some kind of industry exclusivity if you can. It looks really not genuine if this particular person is promoting 3 or 4 different hairdressing salons when you're giving them free cut color every 6 to 8 weeks. So demand what you want, but also be reasonable with what you expect as well. So I did mean to mention that earlier, and something come to me. So
no, that's cool. That's all good. It probably leads into, because we're coming to the end of the interview anyway, was there anything else that you wanted to share with our audience today that we haven't covered?
Probably what I just said, actually. I can't really think of anything else without having like a 3-hour chat to you about influence marketing. I'm super passionate about it, and I love doing it. I love it because I love seeing the outcome. And also, actually, I do have something. See, I can talk 3 hours on this topic. If you don't have a product, for example, if you're a restaurant, don't think that you have to pay them to come in. Give them a voucher to come in and to eat at your restaurant. Give them a $100 voucher or a $50 voucher, but make sure it covers their complete meal. And if they bring someone in, well, they're going to bring someone else in. So try and think outside the box. Just because you may not have a physical product that you can't do influencer marketing, really think outside the box. Even if you're a service-based business, you can still do influencer marketing and do it really well.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. So then the next thing is that if anyone listening today is listening in and they're thinking, yep, I would really like to explore more about this, or they have tried it before and it hasn't worked well and want to look at how to do it the right way the next time, can people contact you or connect with you if they want to know more?
I'm going to give you, Stace, a link that people can connect with me. Also, contact me on socials, my website. Yeah, I'd love to chat further. In fact, I'm going to give 5 people a free 20-minute phone conversation around influencer marketing. So 5 people who are listening to your podcast who want to take advantage of the offer. It can be any question that you have about influencer marketing. If you want to DIY it, where do you start? If you want some ideas around your brand and who you should connect with, if you want me to help you out with it, whatever, I'm willing to offer a 20-minute free conversation, no obligation. Let's just, get you what you need to get started.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So all of those details and links to follow Em and connect with her and maybe even take her up on her awesome offer will all be on the page for the show notes. So thank you so much for joining us today, Em. It's been great to chat to you. And I just would love to give a full disclosure to all of my listeners today, as this is actually the first interview I've recorded. So
You've done so well. It's awesome.
We've had
a really good job.
We've had a few, noises in the background and things going on, and I'm still learning how to edit that stuff out. So you guys might have heard some of those noises. It's a learning curve, and the most important thing is the content that's in the interview anyway. And thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Social Hub podcast. You can find the show notes for today's episode over at allthewsau.com/podcast. And if you want to join me in my community and continue the conversation, jump over to Facebook and join the Social Media 101 Facebook group. Until then, stay classy.